Watch this chart closely. In a matter of days, a completely satirical political entity surges past the deeply entrenched digital machinery of India's ruling BJP at 8.8 million followers, eclipses the Congress Party at 13 million, and rockets past 14 million followers on Instagram. To understand how we got here, we have to look at the Supreme Court of India. During a May 15th hearing, Chief Justice Suryakant made a remark that would accidentally ignite a digital wildfire. While discussing young Indians who turn to media, activism, and right-to-information requests when they can't find traditional jobs, the Chief Justice used a highly specific word to describe them: cockroaches. The youth heard the insult, and a 30-year-old student named Abhijit Dipke decided to lean into it. He launched a satirical Google registration form explicitly calling for the unemployed, the lazy, and the chronically online to join a brand new movement. He called it the Cockroach Janta Party. What began as a casual, self-deprecating internet joke rapidly mutated. Millions of frustrated young people signed up, turning a sarcastic meme into the fastest-growing digital political entity in the country. When a state apparatus locks its doors like this to contain a threat, you expect the target to be a severe national security risk. You don't expect the target to be a swarm of digital insects wearing cockroach costumes. But the retaliation from the establishment was immediate and heavy-handed. The Cockroach Janta Party's main X account was formally withheld in India following a legal demand. On Instagram, their massive page faced repeated overnight suspensions. The ruling establishment already operates one of the most sophisticated IT cells and public relations machines on the planet. Yet they are deploying state-level legal demands and national security protocols to battle a page run by a student in Boston. When the state deploys aggressive censorship against a meme, they are effectively acknowledging its power. The Cockroach Janta Party is no longer a punchline. It is now treated as a structural threat to the establishment's control over the national narrative. The satire is ultimately just the whistling steam escaping from this pressure cooker. Beneath the branding, the engine driving this mobilization is explosive, completely unaddressed, and boiling demographic frustration. Look at these medical students protesting on the streets. Their anger traces directly back to the systematic collapse of the education system, punctuated by the catastrophic paper leaks in the NEET medical entrance exams. Students study for years, only to watch the system fail them at the finish line. And the exam leaks are just one symptom. The movement is feeding on chronic youth unemployment, frozen income mobility, and a mainstream media ecosystem that actively distracts the public, rather than investigating why so many young people are economically stranded. Even when traditional opposition groups hold physical rallies like this one over unemployment, the youth still feel completely politically homeless. The established opposition has entirely failed to channel, validate, or solve this compounding anger. The Cockroach Janta Party did not create this resentment. The anger was already there, pooling in the massive vacuum left by a disconnected ruling establishment and an ineffective opposition. The meme simply gave it a vessel. Because beneath the jokes about being lazy and chronically online, the CJP actually drafted a highly structured, deeply serious political manifesto. They started at the very top of the education crisis. This is India's education minister, Dharmendra Pradhan. The party's first major actionable demand is his immediate resignation over the paper leak scandals. From there, the demands tackle deep structural rot. They want a 50% reservation for women. They want to ban judges from accepting government appointments after they retire. And they demand that if the Election Commission deletes legitimate voters from the rolls, it should be prosecuted as terrorism under the UAPA, India's strict anti-terror law. This diagram shows exactly how they plan to enforce these demands. Instead of staging physical riots and facing police batons, they utilize digital picketing. They overwhelm official inboxes and comment sections with relentless, coordinated data. It is a modernized version of historical non-cooperation tactics. Gen Z isn't apathetic. They are highly engaged in the democratic process. They are just executing their protests strictly on their own digital terms. This entirely digital strategy explains why the government's attempts to crush the movement are failing. Traditional censorship algorithms are built to target centralized leaders, but this movement doesn't have one. This network map visualizes their decentralized structure,
mirroring Iran's mosaic defense strategy. If the central command falls, the structure reacts. Dozens of new, independent state-level handles instantly spawn across the grid, releasing their own local manifestos and continuing the campaign. A government can easily delete a digital account with a legal order.
But it is structurally impossible to censor a decentralized idea once it has taken root across an entire generation. To see the alternative to this digital protest, we only need to look at India's neighbors. This is the reality of a physical youth-led revolution spilling into the streets, recently resulting in a toppled government in Bangladesh. And here in Sri Lanka, systemic economic despair drove a desperate, frustrated population to occupy the halls of power. The exact same underlying anxieties regarding jobs and uncertain futures exist for Indian youth right now. Right now, the Cockroach Janta party is actually acting as a massive pressure valve. By giving millions of angry students a peaceful, democratic outlet to vent their frustrations online, it is actively keeping them off the physical streets. For the political establishment sitting inside Parliament, the situation presents a stark choice. They can either listen to the grievances of this massive demographic bloc, or they can continue trying to digitally crush them. If the establishment chooses to ignore the vacuum, delete the accounts, and suppress peaceful expression, the pressure will keep building, and eventually this digital satyagraha will boil over into a very real, very physical, explosive crisis.